Hey, welcome. Yet another 10 for 10 favorite photos, part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, you can find it in the playlist. So today I'll show you 10 of my favorite photos and the stories behind them. All right, let's get into it. Let's kick this video off with an old photo of mine when I was still learning the many photography techniques. So this technique is called panning, so where you capture a fast-moving subject against a blurry background. And this photo has been taken at the world-famous Elephant Port, which was part of the old Carlsberg Brewery grounds. It was taken with my Sony a7C and the 35mm focal length. For some reason, I just love this photo because it reminds me of the time I was just so hungry to learn, and I spent countless of hours on the streets practicing all sorts of photography techniques. This photo was taken at the Marble Church here in Copenhagen, a beautiful church, and I have to admit, as a Copenhagener, I've never been there before. So I picked up my Sony a7C, and I think this was the 35mm, but it could have been the 55 as well. I stood here for a good amount of time for the perfect subject to come by, and she basically did. I also think that the editing really made this photo into something really special. I love doing silhouette photography, and I think it's a very easy technique to master, even if you're a new street photographer. And this particular photo was taken after I saw this spot or backdrop as I was riding the bus and kind of passed by it a few times. Of course, I had to come back with my camera, so this photo was taken with my Sony a7C and the 85mm. And that time I just gotten the 85mm, and I was out getting to know this focal length because I wasn't really used to a tighter focal length. For this particular photo, I had to stand across the street because the focal length was so tight. But I really like how the photos came out. So here we are at Copenhagen Airport. So last year I was going to travel, but unfortunately my flight got cancelled. But I got to spend around 10 hours before we gave up and went home. Copenhagen Airport is a very beautiful airport, and the architecture is very typically Scandinavian, minimalist, and really gorgeous. And my friend and I had a lot of time to kill, and we just had some fun while waiting. And yes, that is me flying in the air. Alright, up next is Copenhagen University. So this photo is part of a set of photos I took with my brand new Sigma 24mm 1.4 lens days after I got it. I already scouted out the location I wanted to go to, and I found this amazing staircase in one of the university's buildings. And I remember being blown away with the wide-angle lens that I just gotten, because before that I only had a 35mm, and in some cases I felt like the 35 was not wide enough, especially for architecture photography. And you can watch the whole video in my playlist all the way down. It was actually one of the first videos I did for this channel. This photo was taken only a few weeks ago, and I had to dedicate a specific time to go there because it had to be like a nice street photography kind of shot. And I just love the sign of this Hipster Bakery, so I picked up my Sony a7C and the 55mm, which I haven't done for a while because I had just been obsessing about the Fuji X100V. Anyway, as soon as I left for the location, it started to rain very heavily, and the Sony a7C is not really weatherproof. I just gotten my camera back from repair because the main board was completely fried, and I really didn't want to risk having it, drenched in rain. But I was very determined. I wanted to go out. I dedicated, this time slot for it, and I thought about it for a long time. So I kept on shooting while literally hiding the camera under my really big winter coat, and I'm pretty sure I looked weird to the people passing by because I was just standing there and just quickly snapping a photo and hid the camera again. This is what we do for our passion, right? Sunset vibes at golden hour. So I wanted to try out shooting at golden hour, and this photo was taken during the summer of 2023. I already picked the location where I wanted to go, and I was just waiting for the sun to set. And I arrived almost an hour before sun was setting, and this photo is actually a part of a series that was taken with my Sony a7C and the 85mm. For this session, I used the black mist filter that was also attached to the lens to give that dreamy, hazy look. And the rest is a little bit of editing, so I enhanced the color of the sunset vibes. Otherwise, I think it looks really great with the little bit moody vibe going on there. Alright, the next photo is taken with my Fuji X100V, and this is taken quite recently on one of my daily photo walks. I was actually just heading home and was done for the day, but I saw this guy on my way home. He was cleaning the windows of the restaurant. This is quite nearby where I live. And I instantly started taking photos because he just had this really massive, Nike logo on his back. And he noticed me right away and he just stared at me at first, and then he just smiled and continued to do his work. And the other photos I took show just that. I find them both great. It's rare that I print my photos. I really should do that more, but this particular photo I have in print, and it's in the size of 50 by 70 centimeters, which is quite a large photo. One of my absolute favorites. There's something dreamy and cinematic about it, and I'm actually really proud of it. It's taken with my Sony A7C and the 55mm at a local bike bridge here in Copenhagen, and I've been to that spot quite a lot. For this particular photo, I went there for rush hour, and the sun was just setting, and I just stood here taking a lot of photos for a while. I think a few of them came out really great, so this is definitely one of my favorite spots in Copenhagen. This photo was taken with my Sony A7C and the 85mm. This is a popular bar in the hip area of Nørrebro in Copenhagen. I actually came to capture the beautiful red light dome that this bar is somewhat known for. This photo was taken during the summer, a rare tropical weather. That's why so many people are standing outside on the street, which is not normal here in Denmark as opposed to the bar culture in the UK. I love how this photograph came together. I often find myself looking at it and just get lost in imagination of all the conversations happening. Alright, so this was my 10 for 10 favorite photos part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. So let me know in the comments which ones are your favorite. Alright, take care. See you in the next one.